Hi, I'm Victor. In this video, I'm going to be covering Lumen Technologies. This is a communications company providing broadband internet to businesses and to consumers. They are in a very stable industry, but this company itself has been very unstable. They've had a lot of downs in the last few years and have a lot of things going on. They announced their earnings yesterday, and I wanted to update my analysis of Lumen and share that with you. My analysis has a framework. I like to scorecard my investments and ask 4 key questions about that investment, and which leads to one decision. My scorecard involves, first question is, do I want to be in the industry? Is the company operating and performing well? Is debt less than 3 times EBITDA? Am I getting a discount on the stock? And would I buy, hold, or sell this stock today? So looking at 2022 financial highlights, the first is the company's divesting of some key businesses, selling them off, and then using the proceeds to pay off debt. I think it's a good idea. AT&T just did this with the divestiture of DirecTV. It's really worked out for AT&T, and it could work out for Lumen. Overall, the company had a loss, but it's a paper loss because they had to write off some losses for those businesses, but they weren't any real cash or cash related expenses. They were just a paper loss. They still produced really good free cash flow in 2022, even though they had so much turmoil, so many things going on. This industry just produces a lot of free cash and consistent profits. So if Lumen can stabilize, this is the type of business that I'm looking for, because I think this is heavily discounted in general. It's pretty much, investors don't want anything to do with it because there's so much going on, but there's a lot to be proven by Lumen 2023 and 2024. The company provided an outlook for 2023. EBITDA looks really good. The one concern was they really have a low free cash flow, projected out for 2023. And they're going from 1.7 billion in 2022 to 0 to 200 million in 2023. That's just free cash flow has fallen off a cliff. That's what's happened. And that's probably the most concerning item that I read in their earnings, and also listened to their earnings call. So that's a huge drop. All the other things look okay. CapEx is right in line with what they've been spending. All the other things looked okay. Let's take a look at the income statement. First, the top line revenue, it's decreasing. So that's a concern. Part of it is the divestitures of businesses, but they really got to stabilize that number. And it's okay if you don't grow, but just don't lose any, revenue. Their operating income looked good to me. If you add back this goodwill impairment, they actually have very good EBITDA. And one thing, they reduced the share count, which is good. They reduced it by 6% if you look at the diluted shares. Given everything that's going on with Lumen, their balance sheet looked fairly decent. If you look at their debt, they reduced it, long-term debt. Here on this line, they reduced it by about 7 billion. And then long-term debt that was maturing within 12 months was reduced almost 1.5 billion. So 8.5 billion reduction in debt in 1 year. So that's a really good improvement to their balance sheet. And their balance sheet is 3.1 debt to EBITDA, which is very good. All right, let's take a look at the statement of cash flows. For 2022, they generated $1.7 billion of free cash. It is lower than the previous year, but again, they've divested businesses to become smaller. So there was a reduction in free cash flow. I wanted to show the last 5 years and show that this is just a consistent cash flow generating company. If you look at this year, 1.7, but last year was about 3.6 billion. And then so forth. The cash flow from operating activities is consistently being nice and high, and they have to put in about $3 billion into the business. So if they could just stabilize and generate $1.5 to $2 billion of free cash flow, this company would be worth a lot more than their current valuation. I value companies based on the cash flows that I expect they're going to generate and then discount those cash flows to today's dollars. And Lumen, presents a very difficult model assignment because in 2023, their guidance is that they're going to be between 0 and 200 million in revenue. So I'm taking the midway point for 100 million for year one. But year two, either these guys are on, the road to bankruptcy or being sold off in pieces, or they're going to get back to their traditional business. And if they do, the free cash flow of this business is just really good. So what I did is I took 50% of what they produced in 2022 and made that the point to start in year two, which would be 2024, and then had that grow at 15% per year for years 3 and 4, and then perpetual growth would be at 2% after that. So a nice conservative way to model out the free cash flows that I expect. I went up to a high weighted average cost of capital, so that way I can discount it and again be conservative. And you can see that, their intrinsic value ends up being about 8.7 billion, but their market cap's 5.1 billion. So it leaves room for a nice discount on this company. And looking at their balance sheet, their debt's 20.5 billion, but their EBITDA is 6.6 billion. So they're 3.11 EBITDA. I like it to be less than 3x. That's pretty close to 3x. And given all the change, I would say that it looks good that Lumen is really managing their balance sheet well. So summary on Lumen. Performance, their revenue has been dropping by 11%. So they need to stabilize. That's obviously not a good thing. They eliminated the dividend. I agree with that. Right now, they need to preserve cash, really get the business right. And then the dividend could be reestablished once they're in good health. They did generate $1.7 billion of free cash flow, which is really good. They reduced debt in a very good way, and they have a balance sheet that looks pretty good to me now. 2023 is going to be a reset year. As mentioned, the free cash flow going to potentially 0 was a big concern to me. They're going to be more focused, which is good. And each quarter, their earnings are going to be critical because at this point, I think investors are leaving Lumen. There's just too many loose ends. Each quarter, they have to operate and perform well each quarter, because if it doesn't happen in 2023, I can't imagine where this company is going to be after that. Having said that, this could be a 3-bagger, if not a 5-bagger, because the stock price is so low. If they can get the business right, this is immediately a $20 stock, and they're trading at $5 a stock. But there's a lot of risk in this company. Either they're going to stabilize, continue to weaken, or be sold off in pieces. There is a small chance that they get acquired, and I'm not sure who would acquire them, but maybe an AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile that wants, their broadband assets could acquire them, and that would be a good thing in the stock. There's just too many variables in play. Lumen needs to really right the ship, really have a good focus, start operating, and be predictable. And I think that would be good for the company. If not, they're probably going to go away. Let's scorecard Lumen. It's an industry that I want to be a part of. I like the communications industry. It's stable, it's profitable, it generates great free cash. I own AT&T, and Lumen can be a really good company in the industry, but currently it's just operated poorly. The decisions that were made, just a lot of things happened, and the operation of the company is very bad. Balance sheet's in decent shape. You are getting a good discount on this stock, but I'm a holder of Lumen. I have a small position in Lumen. Each quarter is going to be critical for the company. If Q1 goes off, well, and they start showing some improvement, that's going to be really good. But I would say at the halfway point of 2023, I'll either be a buyer or a seller, but I'm not going to be a holder of Lumen, because I don't want to spend too much time tracking a company that doesn't have a clear future or that it's not a bet that I'm willing to make. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you found it interesting and discovered something new about Lumen Technologies. Keep in mind, I'm not recommending you buy Lumen Technologies. I'm just sharing my experience as a small individual investor of Lumen. Good luck investing in 2023.